Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Just My Opinion podcast. Today we're going to be reacting to the 77% conversation that was had in Douala, Cameroon. And this conversation was about the diversity of the music being consumed by Africans. So we will talk about the famous 80-20 rule, which CY International has been talking a lot about. And he has gradually been gathering supporters in that direction. And of course, a lot of people against that from start. So we're going to be talking about this, and we're going to be sharing our opinions, what we think about this. Do we actually think that this rule being implemented in Cameroon is going to lead to any change? Are Cameroonians going to start consuming more Cameroonian content? I know I've briefly spoken about that, but we are going to really dive deep into it. So before we proceed, hi, Ambassador.
Hello, people. Shiva Ambassador again doing this thing.
Yeah, so today we are going to be talking about the 77% conversation. Like, I normally watch DW, 77%. They always have very interesting conversations, and I usually watch the conversations being coordinated by Edith Kamani. They travel to all different parts. She travels to all different parts of Africa, talking to different people on the streets and people with different opinions from diverse backgrounds. And it's always a very interesting conversation, and so was this one. So before we dive into the conversation, let's just watch a brief segment of this. It was like 20 minutes plus conversation. Let's watch this brief segment.
Can we start to put value on hours? As a blogger, your responsibility is not to be paid. Your responsibility is to promote the music or whatever else it is that your blog promotes. If your blog is a music blog, go and search for great talents and expose them. That is your job.
Cameroonian have lost the taste. You understand? So every country has right to regulate what his people consume. So the way forward is for the government, because, for example, Nigeria did a regulation. They did a ban. They even banned Okrika. Recently, we have seen Nigeria ban foreign models.
He's saying respectfully out of ignorance. He does not know that I have been blogging since 2010. And I started getting popularity from my blogging in 2017. So how many years did I wait? How many years was I patient for? How many years was I suffering for? You know, what he's saying the results of my hard work. People like Libianca has been doing music since when she was in America, before she traveled to America. But now we're hearing her. Did she stop? No. Did she give up? No. I represent a Cameroonian who works hard and who has been steady with her hustle and who is a proof that you can make it in Cameroon if you work hard. Cameroonians will support you as long as you give them what they want. So work hard. Don't give up.
Okay, yeah, so it was a very interesting conversation. And I want us to start by talking about the 80, like they read several points, but let's start off with the 80-20 rule conversation, which they briefly talked about. So, Ambassador, do you think implementing the 80-20 rule in Cameroon, do you think it's going to in any way impact the rate at which Cameroonians consume Cameroonian content?
So yes, I think you would. But I've always said this thing for a number of years now. Some of these policy things that the people on the streets clamoring for maybe equality between men and women or for racial injustice, against racial injustice, but the people who are in, let's say, the Senate or yes, debating on those things, they are not clamoring on the street. But I think so the role CY is playing to make the noise or clamor on the streets is okay. But I think sadly, I don't want to say sadly enough, but sadly so, we don't have people who are in the policy rooms trying to change things on that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why it might never come out to fruition, and things like that we only learn later on some of the policies which Nigeria had put in place to ensure that their industry grows. Mm-hmm. Because if you make it public, or if you make it public before it's announced, it's a capitalist world. The more I get, the more you lose. The more you lose, the more I get. So as soon as, let's say, competition is aware of the strategy you are trying to put in place to protect your own local market, then they're going to put counter strategy against that. So things like that, even while people are clamoring, those in the policy room don't make noise about it. But one, I don't think anybody is doing it, and the noise is going way ahead of the policy. And secondly, I think there needs to be a number of accompanying measures. As we said, we need holistic solutions for some of these social things, because I think Vicky Fonkala started with mentioning the issue of bloggers and content and things like that. That's another strong arm of the entertainment industry, or music to be specific, where we also need to push them. I mean, everybody needs to step up their game. So like what you're saying, I know like a couple of bloggers were offended and said, "Are you always putting data in my phone?" and all of those things. Yeah. But a lot of grassroots work has to be done to create value. And then now you can start commanding some numbers. But right now, everybody's just struggling. Everybody's on survival mode. So be it the bloggers, be it the artists, be it the managers, so everybody's not respecting the, should I call it, the modus operandi of their own profession or their own segment of the supply chain. Hence, the whole chain looks weak.
Yeah, but so like going back to this 80-20 rule, I feel, I think, like I said, we have previously spoken about this, but I'm like, the strategy which Nigeria put in place for their industry to grow, if it was a 80-20 rule, I think it worked because of the age and time which that strategy was put in place. I think if the 80-20 rule is put in place in this day and age where people can consume music anywhere they want, like a lot of platform where people can go and consume music, is not really going to have an influence on the amount of Cameroonian content being consumed by Cameroonians. So, for example, CY talked about he went to a Cameroonian traditional wedding, and majority of the songs that were being played in the wedding were Nigerian songs from different places. So he was like, this is a Cameroonian traditional wedding where the Cameroonian culture needs to be represented, but we have Nigerian songs being played, South African songs being played, Tanzanian songs. He said songs that we don't even understand what it means, they are being played in these places. So I think, and then Vicky responded to that point and other points by saying she goes to events. When she was asked about it, she said majority of the events that she MCs, a lot of the time they want to play foreign songs. Majority of the time they play foreign songs. And her as an MC, although she believes in the 80-20 rule, her as an MC, there's nothing she can really do because it's not her event. There's nothing she can really do. So I'm like, even if the government imposes this 80-20 rule, like, people can consume music wherever they want. You cannot come and impose it on somebody's event.
No. So 80-20, as I said, there are a number of other things that will help, right? Mm-hmm. I don't even think 80-20 is the most important thing that would change this narrative. Mm-hmm. But there's what we call cultural conditioning. Mm-hmm. We think we just like the music from other countries because we just like it. Mm-hmm. But no, it's because we are being conditioned to like it. Mm. So your subconscious, while you are driving across town, you don't even count, but you might have heard boga or cough 7 times. It seeps into your consciousness. While you were washing clothes, a neighbor was playing his radio and boga was playing, it seeps into your consciousness. Mm-hmm. Especially the mood which was associated with the music. Mm-hmm. So you were driving across UB Junction and some students were partying, they were playing boga. Mm-hmm. The neighbor had an occasion, they were playing boga. Mm-hmm. There was a wedding beside us, they were playing boga. Your consciousness or your subconscious starts to associate boga with happiness. Mm-hmm. And whenever you want to be happy or you feel like you are happy, then you are going to play boga. Mm-hmm. So there's all of that programming which, in the beginning, it starts like it's a rule, but before we know it, it becomes a norm. Where people just, like if you think about it, back in the days, our reflex was not to play African music. It was Jay-Z, it was Westlife, it was. But we are not even conscious of the fact that now a large majority of Africans just play African music. Nobody has to tell you. So it has just seeped into our consciousness like we can as well play this. It is nice, and because you have told yourself that it is nice, it becomes nice. By the time I remember, like the first time I heard they were playing all these downfall drivers, and it was something that we were making fun of. I remember in Yaoundé, they were like, which kind of party is that? Which kind of club is that? Those guys were playing downfall driver. They even played Agatha Moses, and we're like, what kind of country DJ is that, and whatever. But those were measures which Nigerians put in place to push it down. So at the time when they started playing things like the downfall drivers, they had the Style Plus, and those guys who, after Two Face, that was the next generation that was actually really go breaking into urban music and urban culture. It was a struggle, but as soon as we became used to it, it became a norm. So I think it's something which, but also you'll not be forcible to swallow rubbish music. I'm not saying Cameroonian music is rubbish music, but that's why I'm saying that while you are trying to get the consumers to like to consume it, Nigeria also invested a lot of money in their music industry, from the government side, from the sponsor side. So while we are doing that, we should also be tapping into this side so that, okay, as more people are coming to look at what is in this our music industry, are meeting better and better quality. But once you come and your first two experiences are trash, you're like, I will not kill myself, everybody for themselves. Your music is trash, I want happy music, I want nice music. It's a global market, I just want to get the best of what I can get, and you go and get it. But if you turn to Cameroon music and it looks like the best, even if it's not the best of what you can get, but it looks like something close to it, then now you start,
Yeah, so I remember during the conversation, Clarice, the founder of Better Things, she made the point of Cameroonians, people saying Cameroonians don't support their own, but Cameroonians actually support their own. And she said majority of her supporters in her on her blog are Cameroonians. So how can you say Cameroonians don't support her own? She also made the point Cameroonians supported Libianca. So it's like once the content becomes good, Cameroonians dive on it and they support it. And she was saying like Libianca sang in Bamenda for several years before she moved to the state. Then she became famous, and then people started saying, oh, look at this girl, talented and whatever. She said she started her blog in 2010 and she started making money from her blog in 2017. So that was 7 years of not making money and consistent hustle before she started making money. So she was talking about like patience in the field, and also once your content becomes good enough, Cameroonians jump on it and start supporting it. So you will not force people to listen to something which, when they have better and several better options out there. Cameroonian music, we have a lot of beautiful Cameroonian songs, but I would say relative to Nigerian songs, relative to South African songs, we don't have enough. So I would say we have a lot of talented people too in Cameroon, and I mean, the work just needs to be done. The work needs to be done. We need to produce more and more interesting songs. Like the gym I go to, whenever I'm there, they play Nigerian songs, but a lot of times the Cameroonian that they play his songs often is Kosi. Kosi has dropped a lot of beautiful songs, and when a song is nice and people can vibe to it, Cameroonians listen to it and Cameroonians play it. Yeah. Okay, let's talk.
I think there's also the push factor, right? Which is, if Cameroonians don't have a means to push their songs locally, there is like the last album which Fish was put out for Fish, or his last album he put out, which was released after his death. That album it's super. But it just not have the push to go to the African level which it should have been. But when anybody listens to it, they're like, whoa, who is that? I mean, like everybody, when you play that album, about 4 songs that when you play, like, who is that? Who is that? And people vibe to it. But it just has not gone out there like that. So that's another factor. One, let's try to make good music. Let's put out a lot of good music so we can also crowd the market, and then at least 3 or 4 of our music can now trickle into the continental and the global level. But also, we need to get money into the ecosystem. There is lack of money is what's slowing down a number of those things which we say needs to be done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so before we come back to continue our conversation, because I want us to dive into CY's video where he was talking about why companies not inviting Libianca to Cameroon. So before we dive into that, let's talk about our sponsors, Echo.online.
Okay, people, it's your boy Ambassador again, always here to talk about the money. Echo.online is a tool, I like to call it a tool. It's an app and it's a site which is here to democratize the playing field for all African artists. And it's very special for African artists because most of them are by default are independent artists. So they lack a number of things like how to distribute, how to harness your community and monetize those things, how to push your music, merchandise, events. So the various rev streams or the various channels through which they can monetize their art, they are very limited because they are independent. Echo.online is well adapted for independent artists and the local realities, that's African realities, because with Echo.online, you have to just create a profile, mix a good quality song, upload it on the site, and then start sharing your profile with your various followers, be it on Facebook, WhatsApp, on Twitter, wherever you have large following, so that you build a community so all your fans can be grouped in one place where you can easily monetize. So once you have built that strong community on Echo.online, now you could start releasing songs and then trying to sell it. You could start organizing events and trying to sell tickets. You could do your merch and try to sell it. So you are harnessing all of that energy in one place. And also, the payment methods are very adapted to our local reality. So mobile money, all of those things, you can sell your music. Unlike the other platforms where you need to have an account in America, somebody puts out the money, sends it to you. No, Echo.online, get the money in your hand. You do all of these things I've said just with your phone. As we like to say, the power is in your hand. What you put in is what you get. So encourage artists to go out there and then have that experience. And as always, I like to remind people of YouTube. The first people I got on YouTube became millionaires because they had best endorsement deals, they had the support from the management adapted to their own needs. So if you jump on Echo.online, you could be privileged to get that support and get that first exposure, which 5 years down the line will be sharing your stories as, look at that guy who jumped on Echo.online and became. Yeah. So jump on Echo.online, download it on Play Store, Google Play, you find your app there, and then come and share the experience. Any challenges, you contact the management.
Okay, guys, yeah, check out Echo.online. So let's talk about CY saying why are companies not inviting Libianca to Cameroon? Instead, they're inviting Nigerian artists like Kiss Daniel. And he says when he talks about that, people respond by asking him what song would Libianca perform, what songs would she perform. So we know Libianca has one song which has gone viral. True, there has been a lot of collaborations that she has done with this song, but it's one song which has gone viral and she's known worldwide for that one song. So do you think the people who respond to CY saying what song will she sing have a point when they say this?
Yes, they do, but we have seen other artists who have gone around the world with one song. It just depends on the strategy you put in place. So, yeah, I think he has a point like, let's bring Libianca. But we can bring her and then put a number of other local artists who have popular songs with her, and just her name will drag the crowd, and then the crowd will still be entertained. So it just depends on the strategy put in place.
Yeah, so I also think if she goes around the world with this one song, it will be an opportunity for her to test the other songs that she has behind the scenes. So hopefully she has written other songs. She could use that as a chance. And I've also seen situations where artists, they don't have a lot of songs to sing and they do covers of people's songs. And I've previously seen Libianca do covers online. So it means this is a field which she's used to. And the voice on The Voice, it was not her original song. So she could still do covers of famous songs. She could still test the waters and see if people vibe to her song, sing her one song. Like, there's a lot that she can do on stage. And I mean, if one of these companies get Libianca to Cameroon, I think there would be a huge turn up for that event, because a lot of Cameroonians are really tuning into Libianca. Okay, guys, thank you very much for tuning in to the Just My Opinion podcast. As usual, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, and thumbs up to this video. Bye, guys.